Pennsylvania State Constables, first in law enforcement since 1664.
See battle like your pride. Oh, hunter, this is how legends are born. 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 Hunter, the kill makes you stronger, nothing will. See battle like your pride. Oh, hunter, this is how legends are born. This is how legends are born. Legends are born.
Pennsylvania State Constables, your local elected law enforcement officers.
Hello, my name is pcastline. I'm the elected constable out of East Donegal Township, Lancaster County. I wanted to create this video because there's been some recent incidents or things that have occurred pertaining to constables, specifically in the basic training class put on by PCCD and also in the online Con Ed. It isn't just limited to that. It's also other law enforcement entities, government agencies, government officials, DAs. A lot of them have a lot of misinterpretation or misinformation with regards to constables. I'm not quite sure why or where that disconnect happened or why they view things the way that they do. But one of the things I wanted to provide you is specifically, some of the new constables or someone who's thinking about becoming a constable, some of the things that you should probably know, because the most important thing that you can do is educate yourself. Don't rely on someone to tell you their opinion. Read for yourself. Go and review and educate and do some research with regards to who constables are and what we can do as far as all the acts and titles, our powers and authority. Here you're going to read along. I'm going to show you some things here that are written in black and white, right out of the books that I didn't make up myself. This is what's currently on the law. As far as I know, there's been nothing I can find that says anything expires after a certain time, or this law or this title or statute ends on January 3rd, 1982. Like, if it's on the books currently and there's been no amendments, hasn't been repealed or amended, then what's on the books is currently what it is. There's no what's the word that they use for that it expires or it gets too old. I can't think of the name of it, but if you read along here, and some of this is important, and you'll see what this kind of leads up to. Under Act 49 of 2009, arrest in boroughs. In addition to any other powers granted under law, a constable in a borough shall, if you note the word shall, it's underlined, highlighted, there's an arrow to it. That means, must, you're required to do so. Without warrant and upon view, arrest. Now there's a key word that you should probably pay attention to for later on. The word arrest. It's highlighted, underlined, there's an arrow to it. See everybody? It says arrest. And commit for hearing any person who is guilty of a breach of the peace, vagrancy, riotous or disorderly conduct, or drunkenness, may be engaged in the commission of any unlawful act tending to imperil the personal security or endanger the property of the citizens, violates any ordinance of the borough for which a fine or penalty is imposed. Okay, now let's go and let's look at some comparable authorities within state and local other police agencies. Pennsylvania statutes, Title 71, State Government, the Pennsylvania State Police Force. The various members of the Pennsylvania State Police are hereby authorized and empowered: A, to make arrests without warrant for all violations of the law, including laws regulating the use of highways, which they are which they may witness, and to serve and execute warrants issued by the proper local authorities. They shall have all the powers and prerogatives conferred by law upon members of the police force of cities of the first class and upon constables of the Commonwealth. Now, I'm not quite sure what that means to you, but to me, it sounds like the Pennsylvania State Police are absorbing powers of the constable in order to do their duties. So I don't quite understand, if we are just process servers, how they are viewing us otherwise. Now, let's look at the Pennsylvania General Assembly, Title 11. Police officers shall be ex officio constables to the city and shall enforce the laws of this Commonwealth. A police officer may, without warrant and upon view, arrest and commit for hearing any and all individuals guilty of breach of the peace, vagrancy, riotous or disorderly conduct, drunkenness, engage in the commission of any unlawful act tending to imperil the personal security or endanger the property of citizens, and violate any of the ordinance of the city for the violation which a fine or penalty imposed. I'm pretty sure we've seen that somewhere before. I think that was under Act 49, if I'm not mistaken. That's almost, actually it's not almost, it is word for word. So again, if constables are just process servers and we're nothing more than just lower, not employees, but lower, individuals that work for the courts or work for the lower courts, how are they police officers ex officio constables? How are they, have the same definition and not same definition, but how do they have the same description of their powers and authority, where it's telling them, what they can do? All right. Now, if you look under the Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 103, let's look at this. Law enforcement officer is any person who is by law given the power to enforce the law when acting within the scope of that person's employment. Here again, it's saying that law enforcement officer, anybody who's given the power to enforce the law. It's telling us under Act 49 that we are to make an arrest for anybody who violates the law. Breach of the peace. That's enforcing the law. We're law enforcement officers. It says it right there. Now let's look. Police officer. Any person who is by law given the power to arrest. Remember earlier I told you to pay attention to that word that I highlighted and underlined and put an arrow to under the Act 49 for the powers and authority of a constable? It said that we shall arrest. Remember, I highlighted it and showed it to you. All right? It's telling you here, a police officer, anybody who's by law given the power to arrest when acting within the scope of that person's employment. It's telling you right there in black and white under Rules of Criminal Procedure. I mean, unless we're not following, the Rules of Criminal Procedure, if that's just kind of there for nothing, how are we falling underneath that definition? Because it clearly states that we're to make an arrest for a violation or a breach of the peace. And under Rules of Criminal Procedure, it says a police officer is anybody who's given the power to make an arrest for a violation of the law. That is black and white. I don't know where the confusion is. I don't get where the misinterpretation is. I don't get it. If somebody can show me something where it says constables are no way, shape, or form a police officer that's written in title or statute, okay. It might say something somewhere, but it also says that we are. So which one's right? Well, do we listen to this one or do we listen to that one? I don't know. And if I'm not mistaken, in Pennsylvania, whenever there's two laws or there's contradictory rules or something like that the ruling would go to the defendant if it went to a matter of a criminal proceeding. There's two. You might be able to find something where it excludes constables, which I haven't found yet. But if you do, there's something that here says that we are. So who's right? Again, I'm not saying that this is 100% black and white, because obviously there's two sides. So somewhere there's a disconnect. But from what I read that's in black and white, it clearly says that we are. I showed it to you.
Now let's go back to
I don't know where the
Act 49
disconnect or the
confusion
where
is.
it talks about returns and appearance. Because there seems to be one of the things that people say is constables can't, they're not a police officer, or they're not a form of police, and no one's saying that we are a municipal police officer. No one's saying that we're a state police officer. No one's saying that we're like DEA, ATF, or any of that. Okay, police officer is police is a very broad stroke with a fat brush. It covers multiple different agencies and entities. Okay, it's not meant for any one particular. Okay, you look online, you can find ATF police, DEA police, humane police, ICE police. There's all these different entities, okay? Because they are ICE, immigration. Does that mean that they're not police because they're immigration? Well, no. They enforce the law and they make arrests. That's why they put police on it. They're allowed to. Because why? Because they're a form of police. It says it. It's black and white. Okay? County detectives. All right, there's a note here. County detectives whose position is to investigate crimes for the DA is given the powers of constable to perform the duties of that position. Okay? Let's go down here to the county detectives under Pennsylvania statute Title 16, appointment, duties, and compensation of county detectives. All right? County detectives shall be general police officers and shall have the powers conferred on constables by the laws of this Commonwealth so far as they relate to criminal law and procedure. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that didn't say anything about just civil, any kind of thing of just civil work or just landlord, nothing. It specifically says criminal law and procedures. So if the county detectives are considered a form of general police and they're absorbing the powers conferred upon constables, okay, and they're enforcing the criminal laws, how are constables? How are they don't fall under the definition of a form of? Again, we're not saying that we're exactly like any other agency out there. All we're saying is that we fall under a definition of a form of a police officer. That's it. I don't want to walk around. I don't have to run around, with police placard all over me. I don't have to. I don't want to, really. But people don't understand who we are and what we can do. They don't understand a constable. No one knows what a constable is. Why? Because, over the last 50 years, constables have allowed themselves to be put in the corner and just expected to shut up and keep their mouths shut while everybody else, does their thing. Even though we still have the powers and authority to do what we're saying that we could do because it's written there. I just showed you. But over the last, 50 years, the constables of then didn't do the constables of now any favors. So there's a group of us that are growing in numbers because the important thing is you educate yourself. Get out and read, research, read. Don't listen to me just because I'm sitting here telling you what to believe. Read for yourself. I showed you what's in black and white that's written right from the book. Take the time to go read yourself, okay? Constable Chris Lee from Wayne County. He has put together, well, a few of us have, but Chris has really compiled it and put it into a print form. I think it's up to 147 pages now of just everything and anything to do with constables. And we keep adding to it because we keep finding stuff all over the place, which is why there's a lot of confusion and misinformation, because it's very, very hard to find information about who constables are and what we can do. So that's why it's really confusing. But we've taken the time to research it, put it into print, and supply it for you guys to read for yourselves. So check that out, and you'll be very surprised with some of the things that you'll find. Okay? We all need to come together. Yes, there's two sides to the coin. You have people on this side believing this and people on that side believing that. And in recent events, specifically on social media, where, prime example, there was an individual that was allowed to keep posting things that, some of it was reality and some of it was factual, but the perceived intent behind it that wasn't just perceived by just one or two people. I mean, it was a large variety of, or a large mass number of individuals that would see this and read what was being posted. The intent was very obvious. And, a bunch of people spoke out, and it was still allowed to occur. And in today's world, like, we're not trying to paint this to be like some rainbows and unicorn scenario or situation where, everything's great, because it's not whatsoever. But if we're still allowed to fight one another and post negativity and throw people under the bus or make fun of people, whatever it is, that's negative, towards, it's not going to work. It's not going to help anything. We need to promote a positive image. Get on board with, some sort of uniformity. We're never going to change anything if we don't come together. It's just not going to happen. You have this association fighting that association as far as what you're allowed to do and what you can't do. Right now, there is an attempt to form one state association, which is a great idea. It's a great idea. Why not? You need to get rid of some people that are in certain positions or a part of certain associations because they're just cancerous. But once you get out some of the bad apples, you'll be, things should run, at least hopefully run, smoothly. You're always going to have difference of opinions, but that's okay. You can agree to disagree, but it doesn't mean you have to be enemies or get all fired up and start yelling at each other, putting each other down. There's no reason for that. Come together, be one, be unified. That's what we're going to need. And this infighting, it's just got to stop. I don't know. I can't fix it myself. Only you guys can. So, if you want to be, a true professional and you want to work together and be taken seriously, which we are, at least those of us that are trying to be, we all need just to stop this separation and my way's right and my way's right, or that way's right, that way's wrong, and just agree to disagree sometimes. So, what I'm hoping is that if you have any questions, please reach out to me. My email's listed below. I want to thank everybody for reaching out to me so far for some of the other videos that I've posted. I know there's not a lot of information out there about constables. This video isn't meant to be taken as a negative. It's just kind of trying to make sure everybody kind of understands, like, we all need to come together. We are definitely one of Pennsylvania's best kept secrets. And there's a reason for that, because we've been kept in the shadows. So I'm just asking, that everybody, stand with us, come out, be a part of the change. And if you don't agree with it, that's fine too. You do you. No one's putting you down for your belief. You don't believe a certain way. Okay, that's your belief. It doesn't affect me. I'm still going to operate the way that I'm operating. This train's rolling. Okay, it's not stopping. There are more and more and more constables that are coming in and getting trained, and they're actually educating themselves. They're reading and learning what constables can do. So, our numbers are growing as far as people that are educating themselves. So we're just asking that you join us, get on board, and help us be a part of the change. If you have any questions, my email's listed below. Please reach out to me. I'll help try to fill in any, answer any questions that you may have, at least the best of my ability. So thank you very much. Take care and God bless.